Hello and welcome to Arab Health Focus Days. My name is Deepa Narwani and I'm the senior editor at Omnia Health Insights, your one stop resource for all that's happening in the global healthcare industry. COVID 19 has reshaped the narrative about healthcare safety and has shifted the responsibilities of future healthcare leaders. This year of crisis has put even greater emphasis on leadership as patients, clinicians, and staff look for direction in the face of uncertainty and stress. Today, we are joined by Dr. Azad Mopin, the visionary founder, chairman, and managing director of Aster DM Healthcare, and we will be discussing the complex environments faced by hospital leaders and some of the strategies that can be used to chart a course ahead. Dr. Mopin needs no introduction, and his name is synonymous with healthcare in the UAE, but I will try my best. Dr. Mopin started a single doctor clinic in Dubai in 1987, and today, under his leadership, Aster DM Healthcare has grown into a global healthcare conglomerate with hundreds of facilities spread across several countries. Dr. Mopin is guided by his mission to provide quality healthcare at affordable costs, and his efforts have played a significant role in shaping the healthcare delivery model of the region. Thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Mopin.
Thank you very much, Deepa. This is a great opportunity. Really, thank you and Omnia Health for giving this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Doctor. First up, I would like to ask you, how has your role as a healthcare leader changed given the need to operate in the pandemic?
Yeah, so we all know that this was the toughest crisis in the history of our lifetime, not mankind. Maybe there have been worse situations, but at least in the last 100 years, this is the toughest that all of us have faced. Being in the center of this pandemic, being at the epicenter of that as healthcare player, we bore the brunt of the attack, and so we had to actually, look at it. The whole role as a leader, it was put to test during this period. So what we did is that we thought that there's a requirement for setting a few things as leadership leaders. We thought that there's a requirement for us to, one, most importantly, take care of our people. So as we say, when we go in an airplane, when there is a calamity, it is the father or the mother sitting beside a child who has to use the oxygen first, take care of himself, then only give even to his own child, which is the most precious one. So for us, the patients are our most precious beings in this world. But we have to take care of ourselves if we have to take care of others. So that's the whole principle. So we wanted to protect our staff, which was the primary thing. So that was the focus. We wanted whatever is possible. Initially, we were even not knowing what are the things to be done. We all knew about social distancing and other things, but the PPE kits, other measures for the families, and all those things where the family also doesn't get infected. So that was the number one, protecting the staff. The second most important thing was to see how we can remain sustainable in the healthcare. That is by getting sufficient supplies of things which are needed, because there could have been a breakdown even in ventilators or other matters, which we will discuss as we go forward. So as leaders, we wanted to see what is going to happen, and business sustainability also. Extremely important that we don't go into a situation where we don't have money to run this whole thing, because patients were not coming. We were asked to stop the elective procedures. So there were a lot of things to be taken care. And along with this, how are you going to communicate with your own people? That's a very, very important thing. You are in a situation where you are not allowed to go out. You are not coming to the office. So how are you going to have your people, and how are you? That is something that digital transformation helped, and virtually we started connecting with our people. So mainly, if you look at it, is on the taking care of the people who have to take care of others. And second, how the supplies can be made, ensured that there will be supplies, sufficient supplies. And third, of course, is to take care how to connect with people at the top level as well as throughout the organization, give them the confidence as well as convey what is to be conveyed at the appropriate time.
Great. You mentioned business sustainability. So, what does that exactly mean, and how are you going to drive that in 2021?
Yeah. So business sustainability, one most importantly, we should have sufficient people. There has been challenges in getting even people. People have left, and fortunately for us, we didn't have much of casualty. Even very few people out of the total number of maybe 3 to 4 thousand people got infected, and many of them were serious. But we didn't have too much of people. But there is disruption, and people are not able to come for work always. So make sure that the pipeline is there, and that is one of the most important things. The second, of course, is to make sure that the financial sustainability is maintained. Sorry, the supplies are maintained. So for this, we have now got all the contacts for getting supplies. We have sufficient stocks which are there, which can take care of the supplies, and we have increased that logistical capability to have these contacts as well as to get it on time. And the third, of course, is the requirement of funding for supporting this. So what we did is that we stopped many of our projects which we had planned earlier. So the capex was retained, and we didn't want to spend money and at some point not to have money. So all the new projects, we suspended that, and we thought that let us have cash as much as possible. And at some point, if we are required to plow into our capital or to whatever we have, we wanted to do that. And we strengthened our digital capacity during this period. That was one of the most important things. Many of us, including me for the last 1 year, working from home and connecting with all the people, that was difficult. Of course, our frontline soldiers have to be in the hospitals and in the clinics, the doctors, nurses, which are the majority. But for them to get that leadership, what is to be done, we were working from behind. So digital channels were enhanced. We went into all sorts of, say, work from home, security connected with that, how the connectivity can be maintained, how things can move as it was earlier. And what happened actually is very surprising. The last 1 year, when I look back, uh, 10 times more digitalization and technology has happened than it was before COVID. So that's one of the major benefits, and which it is going to stay.
Dr. Mopin, as you were discussing about the digital transformation that is taking place, what do you see is the long-term outlook for the healthcare sector in the Middle East, and what are going to be some of the major sector drivers?
Yeah. So that's a very important question. I feel that the long-term outlook for healthcare sector in Middle East is very bright, especially in some of the countries where there is a significant requirement for the demand-supply gap to be met, like Saudi Arabia, for example, huge population, and they have facilities, but I think there is a significant opportunity in Saudi Arabia. But when you look at UAE, UAE will be now going into that specialization stage. What will happen now is that they have basically everything for a primary and secondary care, but the tertiary care will evolve and they will go into quaternary care also. That's what we are all trying now. So that is one of the areas which we hope all the complicated surgeries and other procedures, transplants, all those should start coming to UAE, and UAE should become a destination for healthcare for the Middle East as we go forward. That is what we foresee in the future. Now, there is also this huge opportunity, which is even connected to this, is that when people from other countries in the Middle East start coming to UAE, especially Dubai, for treatment, because Dubai is a destination very well connected with good infrastructure, hotels, everything. So people would like to come here. And there is the language advantage where most of the people in the Middle East speaking Arabic, they feel very sort of comfortable coming to Dubai. So that is a major medical value travel is going to be one of the major levers as I look to the future in the Middle East. And then, of course, as we discussed, digital transformation will change the way in which healthcare is delivered by taking healthcare more towards the homes of people rather than being done in the clinics or even in the hospitals. Yes, of course, hospitals and clinics will be there, but many people would like to prefer get their services done at home. So even now, before the COVID, it was like, no, people were just coming to the clinic, taking an appointment, waiting for some time to see the doctor, get a prescription or do a lab test, and then collect the prescription, go to the pharmacy, get the medicine, go back. This was the usual thing which was happening. Now that has completely transformed, in at least in the outpatient, where people now are comfortable sitting at home and seeing a doctor, getting a prescription for all mild illnesses. Not that we can do this for everything. And reviews of cases who have gone back, which is again going to happen. So answering your question, the levers will be medical value travel, the tertiary quaternary care, as well as the home care, for home medical care. Let it be for nursing or for consultation or chronic disease management. There will be a shift happening in that.
Great. So, what are some of the challenges the region faces in developing its healthcare infrastructure?
Yeah. So one of the greatest challenge, I think, in Middle East, especially in UAE and all, is the availability of trained manpower. We have 85% of the people coming from outside. And there are, of course, good talents among the doctors and all coming up from this country. But there is a limitation. They can't serve 85% of the population. So getting good people is always a challenge. And so few things which happened recently, like giving citizenship to people who want to be here, highly qualified people, then giving 10-year visa. And a lot of these things will make people come to Dubai and take this up as a destination. And once you have large number of patients coming from other Middle Eastern countries to Dubai, along with that, they have the stability of being here for long years because of the citizenship or because of the visa, long visa, and of course, having a residence here. That will definitely help in that. Another challenge which is there is this challenge can also be met by having the medical institutions upgraded, which is happening. But I think that the colleges, medical colleges, yes, those are coming. But I think there is a requirement for us to also look at other things like the nursing colleges, the paramedical colleges, the pharmacy colleges. There is a requirement for having more of capacity building in that area in UAE. So this is something which I think one of the challenge to get people. I don't think there is a challenge to get capital or make a building. Technology, of course, is a challenge, but that will be met. For example, now the future is going to be based on technology, like once the 5G comes, as well as once robotic surgery and all, somebody in Dubai may be operated by someone in US or Europe or maybe India. There are experts there, so they need not even travel. So these technologies, I think that will be possible because Dubai is always ahead of time in technologies. Human resource will be the challenge. That's what I think.
Great. In your opinion, what needs to be done to make the system more patient-centered?
Okay, that actually is our whole focus should be how the patient feels, not how we feel or how the business does. So it's very extremely important that the service levels have to improve. See, the touch and feel, if they are coming to the hospital, that is very important. The doctor is only a minor part of that. He has to, of course, treat well, and he will be with the patient only for a few minutes max. But the other levels have to improve. So the service levels of the healthcare has to go to the level of hospitality.
Yeah.
A hospital should be a hotel with attached medical treatment. The smell, the feel, the ambience, everything should be something like that where people feel very comfortable. That's what. Now, the second, of course, is to look at the patient's feedback. That is the patient reported their expectation management. Prime. How is that expectation managed by the doctors as well as other people? This is something which we should be having always in our mind. We say as our tagline, we will treat you well. When we say that, we have to take it into heart and see that this is being practiced. So that is something which has to be there. And of course, like what I said, people, instead of coming into the hospital, when they can sit at the comfort of the home, none of us go to the bank to take money now. Very comfortable. You sit at home and do that. And even shopping, most of us do a large part of our shopping sitting at home. We get it delivered. Why not healthcare? Yes, there is a requirement sometimes for people to come into the hospitals and clinics. But most of these things, I'm sure that is going to happen online. People sitting at the comfort of our home, making a phone call, a video call, and getting a consultation, getting the medicines delivered. And that's the way in which the world is going to change. And we have to be in the forefront of that.
Amazing. So just to conclude, Dr. Mopan, if you could go back to the start of your career and give yourself advice, what would that be?
Yeah. So that's something which is not connected with the healthcare or connected with the company. But personally, I feel that my advice or what I feel is that it is all 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration. When people see success, they think that it is all just came as a luck or it is happening to somebody. But it's not like that. It has years of hard toil which is required. 99% it is perspiration and it is only 1% inspiration. I remember working for 14, 18 hours every day while I was a medical doctor. And later I, of course, even after becoming, a businessman, used to work long hours. So there is a requirement. It's an iceberg phenomenon. You don't see the lower part of that which is lot of struggles, lot of frustrations, lot of failures, and from that you see the tip, which is the success. So you have to look at life as something where there is a requirement for lot of hard work. And then, of course, you have to plan and you have to look forward. You have to have good team with you. You have to take them if you have to be successful. That's extremely important. You should have a vision. You should have the roadmap, and you should have the team for you to undertake that journey. If you see a mountain, you can't climb it alone. You should have the support of others if you have to take up that job. There was a Sherpa with the person who reached the top of Mount Everest, Tenzing and Hillary at that point of time. So you have to have other people to do that. So have people and develop that emotional quotient with your team. And it's very important that you always consider others, not only you, and you take care of your people along with you as well as people outside. And finally, one thing which I want to say is that people who have been successful like me, there's a requirement for all of us to give back a part of it to the people there who require that. Maybe it is healthcare, maybe it is money, maybe it is a good word, a comfort, and this all has to be done by people who have been successful. It's extremely important. The best exercise for heart, I think, is to bend and lift somebody who is in trouble. That is the best exercise for your heart. And before I close, I just want to tell that you can plan, you can get teams, but the vision without execution, proper execution, remains always like an hallucination. It is not something where you dream and do things, but it is something where hard work is required.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time today, Dr. Mopin.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.